Part 1. The Land of the Yellow River, Cradle of Chinese Civilization. In the far east of the world, where mountains kiss the clouds and rivers carve wide valleys, lies the heart of China. The Yellow River, known as the River of Sorrows, carried both life and destruction. Each year its waters spilled over the plains, leaving fertile soil that nourished crops, yet also sweeping away entire villages when floods raged. Here humanity learned to settle, to farm millet and rice, to tame animals, to raise villages of earth and timber. Over thousands of years, clans grew into tribes, and tribes into kingdoms. From these valleys emerged not just a people, but a civilization destined to endure for millennia. Part 2. The Mythic Age, Dragons, Ancestors, and the Mandate of Heaven. Before kings, there were legends. The Chinese told of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, culture heroes who taught humanity the arts of fire, farming, writing, and medicine. Among them was the Yellow Emperor, Huangdi, said to have invented the compass, the cart, and even the very idea of rule itself. The dragon became the symbol of China, not a beast of terror, but of wisdom, power, and cosmic balance. It wound through the skies and rivers, its coils representing the unity of heaven and earth. From these myths arose the concept of the mandate of heaven, that rulers governed not by birthright alone, but by harmony with heaven's will. If they ruled with virtue, heaven blessed their reign. If they grew corrupt, heaven sent floods, droughts, and rebellion. This belief would shape the destiny of every dynasty to come. Part 3. The Xia and Shang dynasties, Bronze, Oracles, and Ancestors. The earliest dynasties live in the twilight between myth and history. The Xia dynasty, said to have been founded by Yu the Great, was remembered for taming the floods and teaching irrigation. Though few records survive, Yu became a symbol of the ruler who serves his people by controlling nature itself. More clearly, we know the Shang dynasty. Their kings ruled from walled cities, surrounded by bronze workshops and ancestral temples. Shang artisans cast ritual vessels of stunning complexity, their surfaces alive with spirals and animal forms. The Shang also spoke to the spirits. On oracle bones, the shoulder blades of oxen, and the shells of turtles, they inscribed questions to the ancestors. Will the harvest succeed? Should we go to war? When cracked in fire, the bones gave answers, and the king acted according to the will of his forefathers. The Shang believed the living and the dead were never far apart, bound together in an unbroken chain of reverence and duty. Part 4. The Zhou dynasty, Mandates of Heaven and Feudal Lords. Around 1046 BCE, the Shang fell to the Zhou, who claimed they had won heaven's favor. They introduced the enduring idea of the mandate of heaven, that just rule is granted by the divine order itself. If kings became corrupt, heaven withdrew its blessing and others rose in their place. The Zhou organized their realm through feudal lords, granting land in exchange for loyalty and service. Over time, their domain expanded, and Chinese culture deepened. Rites, music, and the calendar all flourished. Yet the unity of the Zhou was fragile. As centuries passed, lords grew independent, kings weakened, and the realm fractured. But from this time of division would come ideas and philosophies that shaped the very soul of China. Part 5. The 100 Schools of Thought. In the age of turmoil, wisdom blossomed. Scholars and sages sought answers to restore order. From their debates emerged the 100 Schools of Thought. Confucius, wandering teacher, taught of harmony through duty, respect, and virtue. Filial piety, he said, bound family and state alike.
A ruler must be just, a son must honor his father, and society would flourish through ritual and righteousness. Laozi, the old master, looked not to rules, but to the flow of nature. He taught the Tao, the way, an eternal balance found in water, wind, and silence. To follow the Tao was to live in harmony with the universe. Others arose, Mozi, preaching universal love, legalists, calling for strict laws and punishment, and countless more. Their debates echoed across the courts of kings and the hearts of common folk, weaving a tapestry of wisdom that endures even now. Part 6. The Warring States, Endless Battles and Qin's Rise. As Zhou power crumbled, the land splintered into rival kingdoms. This was the age of the warring states. 7 great states, Qin, Chu, Chai, Yan, Han, Zhou, and Wei, battled without rest. It was a time of strategy and cunning. Generals studied the art of war by Sun Tzu, mastering deception, discipline, and speed. Diplomats wove alliances, spies whispered in courts, and armies numbering in the hundreds of thousands clashed upon the fields. The suffering of the people was immense, yet from this crucible of chaos came transformation. The state of Qin, hardened by harsh laws and strict discipline, grew stronger than the rest. Guided by ruthless ministers and ambitious kings, Qin prepared to end the wars once and for all, and forge the first empire of China.
Part 7. The Qin Dynasty, the First Emperor and the Great Wall. In 221 BCE, the wars ended. The king of Qin, Shang, declared himself Qin Shi Huangdi, the first emperor. For the first time, all of China was united under one ruler. He was ambitious, tireless, and ruthless. He abolished feudal lords, standardized weights, measures, coins, even the width of cart axles so that all roads carried the same wheels. He ordered books burned if they opposed his vision, and scholars punished if they resisted. Most of all, he built. Across the northern frontier, he linked walls into the first form of the Great Wall, a barrier against nomadic raiders. He commanded roads, canals, and palaces. And for himself, he built a tomb unlike any other, guarded by an army of terracotta warriors, each with a unique face, standing eternal vigil in silence. Yet the first emperor could not escape death. He sought elixirs of immortality, but in vain. When he died, his empire crumbled quickly, but his legacy, the idea of one China, endured. Part 8. The Han Dynasty, Silk Roads and the Golden Age. From the ashes of Qin, the Han Dynasty rose. For 4 centuries, it guided China into a golden age. The Han expanded their borders, sending armies into Central Asia, Korea, and Vietnam. They opened the Silk Road, a web of trade that carried silk, jade, and porcelain westward, and brought back glass, horses, and ideas. At home, the Han nurtured learning. Scholars studied the Confucian classics, and civil service exams began to test officials by knowledge, not birth. Paper was invented, astronomy flourished, and medicine advanced. The Han emperors ruled with majesty, yet they also understood the balance between power and virtue. Under their reign, China became not only a land, but a civilization admired far beyond its borders. Part 9. The Age of Buddhism, Faith along the Silk Road. From India, a new faith traveled the Silk Road, Buddhism. Traders, monks, and pilgrims carried its teachings across deserts and mountains until they reached the heart of China. In caves at Dunhuang, artists painted vast murals of the Buddha, glowing in torchlight. Temples rose filled with statues of serene faces and golden robes. The Chinese blended Buddhism with Taoism and Confucianism, shaping it into their own.
For centuries, caravans of camels passed along the Silk Road, carrying not only goods but ideas, linking China to worlds beyond. Part 10. The Tang Dynasty. Poetry, Cosmopolitan Splendor, and Chang'an. The Tang Dynasty shone as one of China's brightest ages. Its capital, Chang'an, was the largest city on earth, filled with markets selling silks, spices, perfumes, and jewels. Envoys from Persia, India, and Arabia walked its streets. The Tang were lovers of art. Poets like Li Bai and Du Fu wrote verses that still echo, of moonlit nights, wandering rivers, the sorrow of war, the beauty of nature. Painters captured misty mountains and endless skies. Buddhism reached its height, monks translating sutras and building towering pagodas. Yet the Tang also knew strife, rebellions, invasions, and intrigue. Still, the dynasty's glory lives on as an age of elegance, culture, and global exchange. Part 11. The Sung Dynasty. Inventions, Trade, and Landscapes of Art. After the Tang came the Sung Dynasty, a time of brilliance in science and art. The Chinese invented gunpowder, the magnetic compass, and printing with movable type, changing the world forever. Markets thrived, cities grew, and merchants grew wealthy. Sung painters created landscapes of breathtaking beauty, mountains rising in mist, rivers flowing into the distance, tiny figures walking paths that seemed endless. It was an age of refinement, though the Sung faced threats from nomadic neighbors. Still, their achievements in art, philosophy, and technology set foundations for centuries to come. Part 12. The Mongols and the Yuan Dynasty. Kublai Khan's empire. From the northern steppes came the Mongols. In the 13th century, Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, conquered China and founded the Yuan dynasty. For the first time, China was ruled by foreigners. Yet Kublai made Beijing his capital, built palaces, and welcomed travelers from afar. Among them was Marco Polo, whose tales of China amazed Europe. The Yuan dynasty blended East and West, linking China into the vast Mongol Empire that stretched across Eurasia. But its rule was heavy, and rebellion stirred among the Chinese people. Part 13. The Ming Dynasty. Voyages of Zheng He and the Forbidden City. From rebellion rose the Ming Dynasty, proud and powerful. They rebuilt the Great Wall, stronger than ever, and raised the Forbidden City in Beijing, a palace of red walls, golden roofs, and endless halls. The Ming emperors sent ships across the seas. Admiral Zheng He commanded vast fleets, sailing to India, Arabia, and Africa. His ships carried gifts of silk and porcelain and returned with wonders from distant lands. At home, the Ming fostered art, porcelain shining with blue and white patterns, and literature that gave birth to classic novels still read today. But even the strongest dynasties faltered. Floods, famine, and corruption plagued the Ming. Peasants rose in rebellion, armies faltered, and foreign powers pressed at the borders. The mandate of heaven, once granted, now slipped away. Just as the Shang fell to the Zhou, just as Qin gave way to Han, so too the Ming weakened, making way for the dynasties that would follow. Part 15. The Eternal Legacy of China. Philosophy, Silk, and the Dragon. Through 4,000 years, dynasties rose and fell, but the spirit of China endured. From the wisdom of Confucius and the balance of the Tao, from the silk that traveled the world to the dragon that still symbolizes power and harmony, China shaped not only its own destiny, but that of the world. Its walls still stand, its poems still sing, its inventions still shape our lives. The story of China is not only of emperors and battles, but of farmers, poets, monks, and artisans, a civilization vast as the rivers, enduring as the mountains, eternal as the dragon in the sky.